And Jan Marsh was one such case. She was 14 years old and she lived in Linwood, California. She was strangled and she was left for dead, face down on a dirt walkway, 14 years old. This was November of 1969, but it wasn't long before Jan Marsh's unsolved murder went as cold as the winter that followed. What nobody counted on, though, was that 3 girls from her hometown, classmates of Jan, would refuse to let a sleeping dog lie half a century later. They have spent years digging for clues, working the phones, interviewing people, getting in deep. Are they cops? Not even close. They are ladies in their 60s who took over where the cops stopped. And they have a mission to find Jan's killer. And believe it or not, they are getting close. Rose Morales, Cheryl Simmons, and Tina McKillip join me live. Ladies, it's so good to have you on the program. I cannot wait to get started. First of all, a little bird told me, Rose, that I think you're a fan of the Banfield show, like you watch our program. So it's even more delightful to have you on as a guest. And I'll start with you right in the middle. How did you 3 latch on to this mission?
Well, it started off with a social media post. There was a reunion that was going to happen, classes of 72 to 75. People were writing, is so-and-so going to go? Who's going? And somebody wrote, did anybody find out who killed Jan Marsh? So there was a pre-reunion party, and when we went to this party, I started asking people, well, who was Jan Marsh? Because I went to Catholic school up until the 10th grade, didn't go to public school till my 11th grade. So I started asking people, and nobody seemed to know who she was. And then I started talking to Cheryl, and Cheryl says, well, I delve in genealogy a little bit. Let me see what I could find. So the next morning when I woke up, she had found some newspaper articles. And the next night was the actual reunion. And we said, we need to get to the bottom of this. And that's how it all started.
I'm super curious. Cheryl, pick up, where Rose just left off with the genealogy and the reunion being the next day. Did it end up being like the talk of the reunion? And still, how did the 3 of you decide, let's band together and do something about this?
Well, we had started, Rosie and I talked at the reunion, actually at a pre-party, and then at the reunion, I said to her, we need to just do this. We need to find out what happened. So we made this pact that we would go, and then we contacted some other folks, and we met at the Norwalk Library and started looking at old newspaper articles about the case. And then we saw the one article about her and what had happened to her, and they actually had her body on the front page of the newspaper. And that just really, I want to say, fried us, and we decided then and there we were going after what had happened to her.
So let's talk about that. Tina, I'm going back to 1969, and I barely remember a thing. I was 2. But I do know that, the police didn't have the tools that we have now. Do you guys, in the work that you've done, do you feel like the police were incompetent when it came to Jan's investigation? Or do you think that they did the best they could with what they had?
I think they did the best that they could at the time. But I'm sure there were some secrets that we don't know about. And unfortunately, their police department was taken over by the sheriff's department, and that's where she lays. And
so,
nobody.
Rose, jump in here. Now we're a different era. We're half a century plus later. And I can only imagine that if I were a police detective and the 3 of you walked in and showed me what you've been digging up over the last couple of years, I'd be thrilled. Are they thrilled, or are they looking at you like Scooby-Doo, like meddling kids? Like, what does it feel like?
The feeling I had when I met the cold case detective was he was letting us have our few minutes, but I think he thought we should be at home playing with grandkids or knitting or doing something useful. And I don't think he took us serious, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, things might change now. So, Rose, like, where are you? Are you getting close? What are your theories? What have you accomplished up till now? What do you got?
Well, we're continuing to. We get different leads. We've gone down a lot of rabbit holes, but we're just continuing to call people, and some of our friends that have been very forthcoming and are saying, you need to talk to this person, or I remember hearing this, and we're just following up on leads all the time. I mean, we've been working on this for 4 years.
It's amazing. I'm just reading some of the notes about your work, you guys, and that you've been in touch with Jan's sister. I think this is such an incredible thing you're doing, not only for justice, but also for Jan's family and her memory. Stay close, please, and let me know how the three of you do. I'm now hooked. I want to know the answers, and I hope you guys get the answers you're looking for. Rose Morales, Cheryl Simmons, and Tina McKillip, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what we all need. It's called community, looking out for each other, even when you might not know each other. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.